so that the direction of the picture is in the script. Everything is in the script.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Script Awards Los Angeles 15 edition, September 2021. I have with me this morning a very fine group of people, writers, authors that won and get selected to the Script Awards Los Angeles for this edition. And we're going to talk about how they write and the process, and we're going to get to know them a little bit better. It's my pleasure to have with me this morning Robert, David, and Matt, and maybe Giovanni is going to join us a little bit later. Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Very good. Morning.
Great.
Living the dream.
Perfect. Robert, where are you joining us from?
Just outside Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Sweet. I've never been to Oklahoma. I want to. Cool, I have. David, where are you calling from?
Small town Ontario, Canada. If you know Toronto
Canada.
or Ottawa, I'm kind of halfway between.
Okay, nice to hear. Matt, where are you?
Denver, Colorado.
With a dog. Okay. It's pretty cool. So the idea is to get to know you a little bit better and get to know the script you wrote and what's your process. So let's start with, I don't know, David, can you tell us a little bit how you became a script writer and how you came to write that specific script, Undying?
Many moons ago, there was a website called Virtual Producer that was a combination writer's workshop and game, basically. And it went through a couple of iterations, and I was deeply involved for a long time. And one of the earliest projects I did at the latest version of that, Hollywood the Game, was this. And that was in 2004, I believe. I'll double check, but I believe it's been about 15 years since I first came up with this idea.
Wow. So it's been a long time in the making.
I've written many things since, and yes, but I never forgot this one.
Okay, very good. Robert, what about you? How did you come to write that one, and how did you make your way into becoming a writer?
Well, I really didn't start writing till 2018. I've been working in a family business full time since 1994. And so in 2018, I wrote a little screenplay, and it's a book and a feature film supposed to be out next Easter. But I talked to a fellow at a film festival, and he said, well, you have all these oil wells in the background. That's the family business I'm in, is oil and gas. And he said, you ought to do a reality show on something like that. And that's what I'm going to do, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that again. I have many follow-up questions for that, but let's go with Matt first. Same question. How did you write Reptile Logic, and why did you write it, and how did you become a scriptwriter?
Yeah, so I actually worked Target overnight 20 years ago when I was in college, and I got to see somebody actually kind of go through this process of trying to unionize a Target, and I always had this kind of idea that I wanted to do a play of this situation. I never really had the opportunity to until the pandemic. My brother moved in with me, and he took over the television, so I had all this free time. So I was like, all right, let's see what ends up. So that's kind of what ended up happening.
Okay, interesting. So, Robert, could you give us the pitch of your story? Could you sum it up like the elevator pitch? If you, because I know the story, but David and Matt don't know the story. So how would you pitch it to them?
I would pitch it. It's a reality show based on how we've been able to survive as a company, and show off old oil wells in the background and give the history of them and perhaps ways to make money, and just tell the story of a part of life that people don't get to see. They're legacy wells. Some of them date back to World War II, and a few even date back to World War I. It's just a slice of life that people don't know.
Interesting. David, how would you pitch to Matt and Robert your story?
All right. Undying is designed as a 30-minute modern sci-fi television series aimed at 18 plus. And at its core, it's about a reporter who meets an immortal being and that being regenerates as a different animal each time it dies. They start with conflicting agendas, but they must ultimately come together to stop a massive global conspiracy.
It reminds me of another TV show. Maybe we're going to talk about it later. Matt, would you pitch to Robert and David Reptile Logic?
Sure. After a pretty gruesome corporate accident, a kind of low-level worker is elected to negotiate kind of the workers' rights at a Amazon fulfillment-esque type place with or up against her boss and his assistant. And so it's really the three most toxic people in the world just kind of one-upping each other.
That sounds a little bit also like another TV show I have in mind. Robert, back to you. So it's a family story. It's a
Yes.
real story. You've been living that. You've been working this life. Is everything in the project real, or did you romance? And how far did you go in the crude real reality?
I would say all of this is actually real. Looking at the different episodes, I marked out 12 episodes that possibly could be done with this. And my thoughts are this: I'm working like a madman all the time, and I would dearly like to write more screenplays, but I can't just quit and start writing that. And I thought, why not go out and film where I live life right now? I'm hoping to do this business for another 8 or 10 years. And so, no, this is actually what you see. And we've got a good bunch of rednecks in the field and different things and a lot of background. And I thought, by golly, we might, if we're careful, just might make this entertaining for people.
And how do you, because before this, is this your first script?
No, I did one other. This is my first TV series shot at that. I did another one for a feature film and a book that's supposed to come out next Easter.
Okay, so when you come from that very specific oil industry, how do you transition to write a script? How did you learn to do it? Or did you teach yourself? How do you do?
Well, even though I'm older than all of you all here, what I went ahead and I actually was able to, with a daughter and wife, get on Google and go ahead and learn a bunch of these different things. And I had, well, what's a treatment? And, you know, what's a screenplay look like, and all these different things. So I've had to tutor myself online because my degree was in geology.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've had to learn from what everyone else like you all is doing. I've just had to kind of learn what I could online.
Yeah. David, you said clearly this project is made for TV.
Yes.
And it is, definitely. It's one of these scripts that could be sent to a TV channel, to TV executives, and be ready to read, and you can project yourself into, that could be made.
I'll just say it has been. I'm taking a break right now from the Ottawa International Animation Festival. I've had 4 meetings with major executives. 3 of them have asked to see pilot scripts.
Wow, congrats. So tell us, jumping on another question, how did this happen? How did you make the connection to make this happen?
I produced a 17-second animated film. I entered it into the Ottawa International Animation Festival, and they accepted it, my debut film.
Wow.
And from there, that came with a free pass, not just to the festival, but to the industry event that goes along with it. That industry has built into it. If you go to Ottawa and get an industry pass, there's 2 days where you can book pitch sessions with major studios and animation companies, and they listen. They take the meetings, and they actually.
They're here for that, like the AFM or the market at Cannes. When maybe the one you described sounds to be a little bit more open on top of that. So how did the meetings go? And now it's in production?
No, they're asking to see a script at this point.
Okay.
It's very much in early development still.
Okay,
but
it's been option. That's it.
No, I wouldn't even go that far. They just said write a spec script and send it to us, basically.
Okay. What deadline did they give you? How much time do you have to write it?
Oh, they didn't give. None of them gave me a fixed deadline, but there's a draft done, so it's a matter of spending a week polishing and formatting. Because I
Okay.
also don't know that much about formatting writing for television and have to look it up online and take a crash course.
Good, but that's major. I mean, I'm very happy for you and very happy to meet people at the festival that are actually pushing the boundaries, making the connections, and going further into the industry. That's what we all should do. Back to Max. So,
Matt.
if my understanding is Matt, sorry, my understanding is you've been experimenting this story you tell in Reptile Logic.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple different venues that we're looking at and stuff. So here in Denver, I do stand up. So one of my friends that used to be a general writer in Los Angeles is going to be the director. We haven't found a venue yet. We're kind of in the middle of doing one or two rewrites, but we're looking at different things. We're going to do a table read here at the end of the month and see kind of what it sounds like objectively. And
Yeah, that helps.
yeah, just kind of getting after it. You
And
know, I just
story wise, this union fight. Have you been living this? Is it a true story?
no. I mean, like I said, I saw it 20 years ago when I worked Target overnight, where this woman, she just asked this fleeting comment at the orientation, where she was just like, "Does Target have a union?" And they were just like, "No." And then I saw like the managers and stuff would give her a bit of a hard time about this comment. They would say things kind of in passing, like, "Oh, maybe we should have a union or whatever." And then she thought she was being followed and whatnot. I thought she was crazy. And also, like, when you're working, you know, 10:30 to 7:30 in the morning,
Yeah,
uh, life and reality is kind of flipped upside down.
yeah,
But
pushes a little bit.
she ended up quitting. But the more research I did on how Walmart, Amazon, how these people treat their workers, the more I realized that she might have been right. I have really no idea.
Yeah,
I mean, it was kind of amazing to see like the way that Walmart won't pay their employees, but they will go and they have this anti-union hotline, and that they have this $100,000 security system to make sure that nobody's like trying to organize a union in the parking lot, which I thought was kind of a waste of money, but they can do what they want. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know. It was always just an interesting story to me, and especially it seems like it was more prevalent now with everything that was going on in Alabama, like in February and March this year.
good. David, back to you. Did you have any reference in mind when writing this pitch, this synopsis?
I knew it should be animated, if that's answers your question.
I mean,
Part of
um,
the
I mean shows, pre-existing shows on TV that you maybe used as a reference, or maybe when you pitched it during the festival, like it's a mix between this and this.
I was originally going to say it's a mix between Manimal and something that doesn't suck, um, but I didn't actually go with that in the pitch
Okay.
meeting. No.
But yeah, that's the one I had in mind when I wrote and when I read the documents. Even the small image you sent to the festival, that immediately struck a chord with me, and I thought about that show. So yeah,
Yeah, I watched that show.
I think everybody did at the time.
I don't think it was very good. Uh,
It 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 did not hold the distance very well. When you watch it today, it looks extremely old and dated.
yeah, the effects never worked, I thought, which is the chief reason I wanted to go
Animated.
animated, was because if you have a tiger or an alligator or whatever with the intelligence of one of the smartest people in the world. Imagine the fighting scenes that you can have with that.
Yeah. So animation allows you to not to remove kind of the boundaries and the limitations of live action.
I think this could have been done with CGI, but I think that would really hurt the budget.
Yeah, definitely. If you wanna get things done on TV today, you have to be very careful of that. Robert, kind of the same question. Did you have any TV show, pre-existing TV show in mind when writing or when you're going to pitch that project?
Well, of course, I'd like it to be like Dallas from years ago would be the most fun of all, but I think that's slightly out of this league. And of course, a lot of make-believe there. There's some oil shows that have been on that have been somewhat realistic, Black Gold, and there was one hokey show that I kind of liked called Backyard Oil. But these were all I know they were. These were all more not realistic shows where you've got 2 or 3 companies drilling a well at the same time and all this in the same area, which is totally fake. I would just really focus on the history, ways to make money. I taught a course years ago, believe it or not, on how to make money off of old oil wells at a college. And I've written scientific papers. And so I've done a lot of things in my life that make absolutely $0. So I thought, why not try screenwriting? I can't do any worse than what I have. So, but anyway, I really believe that just filming this and showing it and some of our accents, because I know you all must think I'm incredibly Southern just from talking, but I thought in all of that, I thought between all of that and showing a background of real old oil wells and history, I thought it might provide some entertainment that's a little different.
Okay, good. Matt, do you have any reference in mind when it comes to Local Logic?
Are you talking about like
pre-existing shows or pre-existing movies that could be in the same tone than what you want to achieve?
No, I mean, my whole challenge was more of a budgetary thing. So with the play, it was like, all right, what's the greatest probability that this is going to be produced? So that's why it's only 3 people and it's in one setting and it's in 2 acts. Because I was like, okay, some of these small theater companies and something would probably jump at this because it's cheaper overhead. I used to work long time ago for Michael Shannon's theater in Chicago when I lived there, and just watching about how they'd have to stretch a budget or, the things that they would have to do in order to put up a play and the cost that you go through that you don't even think of. But as far as like a TV or movie reference, I don't know, because it's a play, so it's a bit different. So sorry.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes total sense. Question for you guys: How do you decide which festivals you go to promote your script, and how did it help you? And David, you started kind of this discussion. I wanted to follow up on that. So maybe we can go back to you. How did you decide to go to this festival? Because you knew there was a market, or you didn't?
Oh, I had no idea if there was a market.
Okay.
But I made 2 animated films for very low budgets, and I decided film festivals were the way to go. I mean, I entered all the really cheap and free ones for one thing, and then it was a matter of looking at the ones that did charge money and saying, well, where can I get bang for the buck? And I assume we've all seen Film Freeway, the site that is a clearinghouse for film festivals, and it's amazing. I didn't know it existed before a few months ago.
Okay, so you're new to Film Freeway.
Yes.
Good to know. Okay. So you find now the responses and the opportunities more easily, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ottawa I found on my own, and there's been a couple others I found on my own. Ottawa's free to enter, which is wonderful.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm waiting to hear back from Sundance, but I had 2 films, and the one that's getting the better response isn't the one I entered there.
Okay, you'll see. You never know. Sundance is a tough one, of course, one of the biggest ones. So the selection is specific to them, but we'll see. Good luck for that. Matt, how do you pick the festivals you want to go to with your play?
Sure. So with the stage play, it's a little bit different because there's not as many opportunities and stuff. You really kind of have to look and see what's out there. I would say probably for every screenplay festival, there's or
Some
for
have the
every play,
categories and some
probably
don't.
what
Some have a stage play category and some don't.
most of them don't, and so that's part of it too. I mean, I think the best advice. Well, I always do my research with this stuff because in the past I've done screenwriting festivals and, like I said, stand-up comedy festivals. And the one thing that I always worry about is that some of them are really just cash grabs by people, where they just, they don't really provide anything. They just are like, "Oh, you're the winner," or "You're whatever." And that was, I mean, there was this festival years ago where I ended up getting third place for a horror film in, and there was this expose that came out in some dinky little paper about this thing, how their grand office was just a PO box, and the whole thing was kind of a scam.
Yeah.
And so now I just really, really pay attention to the details when I'm looking at these festivals. It's not just, oh, I'm going to apply to this, I'm going to do this. I see kind of, who's involved, how long they've been around.
Looking at the past and the previous event of the festival, do a little
Yeah, I
research, so
think it's
you
kind of
see it's basically not a scam. And I
yeah,
like
and you know what? People could be really predatory, especially with writers and anybody out there that wants to get into this type of a business because they see an opportunity, and it's too bad that's how it goes down.
unfortunately, what you say and what you describe is very true. Yeah. Um, Robert, did you meet with the same facts? Did you had a trouble time finding good festivals for scripts?
Yes, and I was going to agree with David. Once I found Film Freeway, that opened up a whole new world that I didn't even know existed. And so that's what I use to go ahead and screen festivals and see what I think might do well. And as far as a treatment, which is what I did with your festival, there aren't that many, kind of like what Matt's doing, there's not that many festivals that really look at treatments, is what I've found. And so I was hugely grateful, as all three of us are, for having script awards around to help us. And like the value you're providing with this to me is huge, that you do interviews like this. And I think all three of us would agree with that.
I'm just the messenger here. This is not my festival, but I agreed to work with them because I know the work they do backstage, and I know they do read the scripts and the plays and everything they receive, and I know they make a real selection. And I've been working in the festival business for a few years now, almost 12 years, and I know that you have to respect the submitters. You have to provide at least one thing that you're going to be able to use, to see, to share, to experience, to learn. And that's why I keep doing this for them, because I think it makes total sense. And because I love scripts. I'm a director, producer also, and I read a lot of scripts. And the selection we have this morning is interesting because we have very different. The three of you are very different, and you have different experiences. And we have a play, we have a treatment, we have a synopsis. We're talking about animation, we're talking about real stories, we're talking about Walmart and the unions. So it's really, I want to say, grounded. And I say that also for you, David, because the way you go to the festivals and the way you learn the process is very grounded, because you are going one step after another. And for scripts, it is challenging. When you have a movie, you can show the movie and people are going to have an opinion right away. When you have a script, you are asking the readers to take a large amount of time to read the script and to work with their own imagination. And that's a whole other challenge. And I think I would appreciate to have more opportunities to read scripts and to give a platform to the writers. But hey, this is not my interview. This is your roundtable, guys. So, would you have any question to your fellow script writers? Matt, do you have a question for Robert or David? David, do you have a question for Robert or Matt, or the other way around? Anything you would like to know about the writing process, about the script itself, the story, the idea? Anything you would like guys to share?
Well, I'll ask Matt a question because I was a script actor and director in my youth, stage rather. Do you have a space in mind, a theater, a place you could, really put this on?
Yeah, so right now we're working on it. It's everyone's got their seasons put up for this year, so we're shooting for next fall as far as, doing a production or whatever. So I just kind of figured we'll go through the, like a table read kind of thing, and I'll apply to, the different festivals and stuff, and really, kind of put our team together. So when we go to one of these local theaters, we'll be like, okay, this is how the script's done. This is our director. This is our, So I think the more organized you can come in there with, it's like a pitch meeting almost, where if you come in there with something more than just a script, and the easier it is for the executives to see it, the better the probability that they'll want to make it. So, like I said, we're in contact with like 6 or 7 different theaters right now, but nothing is going to kind of go down until probably next fall.
Yeah, next season. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any other question? Anything you would like to know, would like to ask?
Yeah, I have a question for you, for both of you guys. So I'm just curious because I've gone through the process many times. It sounds like you guys have too. What keeps you all motivated to kind of like when you're in the middle of it, and it's like you're at page 40 or page 50, you're like I don't even you get a little kind of not bored with it, but you just get like, is this gonna, you second guess yourself. I'm just curious what helps you guys drive through that.
To occasionally win something is kind of nice. That helps motivate, or at least get acknowledgement that you didn't lose utterly at some festival.
Yeah, it gives you some form of nod of appreciation, and like, okay, someone somewhere in the world just read it and it's good enough, so it made it to the win or to the selection. Sometimes it gives a little bit of breathe into the project. Mm-hmm. I've been there. David.
Well, it's weird to say this, but my mental health issues, my bipolar disorder, and some other things drove me to maniacally write for a long time. And I now have a truck ton of spec scripts and all sorts of things like that I'm ready to go with. And I will say briefly that winning this award helped me solidify which project I was going to pitch at Ottawa.
Okay, that's interesting to use. Because when you win or when you get selected, all of you may have different projects in the works or actually finished, and going to different film festivals with different script competitions with different scripts, and you see the one who work, and you say, okay, that one is getting traction, that one never gets selected, I don't know. And you use that as a feedback information to adjust your own strategy, to solidify, like you said, your path and your strategy. Guys, it was a pleasure to discuss with you and to get that time to get to know you a little bit better. And again, the three of you have different profiles and different projects and different experiences, and that was very interesting to get to see the differences and to get to see how you guys go to the next step and how you use the film festivals, and what's next for you. So it was very, very cool. So last question, what's the actual concrete solid next step, next move you're gonna do with your project? Matt, you want to start?
Sure. So like I said, we're doing a table read at the Denver Improv And I think we're just gonna kind of go from there. I applied to a couple different festivals still. But the thing about festivals too is it's very subjective. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if something resonates with somebody, that's great. It means I'm on the right track. But I don't really take it personally if people are like, "No, this isn't for us." I'm like, "All right, I get it."
Yeah, it's a selection.
Yeah.
Anyway, David, next step is I think wrapping up the pilot episode.
Yeah, I need to do my third draft, make sure it's properly formatted for television, adjust for some things that came up in the pitch meetings. And then I don't want to say the companies, but I will say they've made shows you've heard of.
Yeah. Okay, good. Robert, what about you? What's the next step for Kudal Ukis?
Well, actually, in just a couple of weeks, I've written a proof of concept, and I've got a company coming to help me film that so that we can shop that around. I read online where that's good to have kind of an abbreviated pilot, I guess is what I'd say in layman's terms. And they actually shot my feature film coming out in next Easter. And so we're hoping that if they do this, a proof of concept, however many minutes long that it will be, and then shop that around, we hope then we can gain some kind of production company's interest that they could make it into a series.
In your case, because it's some kind of reality TV documentary, true story, and you already have the sets and you've been living all that, I think this has potential, I think, to really give you some image to show and to make people want to read the script even more, definitely. Yeah. Okay. I think you're all in a very on the right track, definitely. And thank you so much for your time and for taking that, for using the platform the Script Awards Los Angeles gives you to dive a little bit deeper into your script. Really much appreciated. And it was my pleasure meeting you and talking with you.
Thank you.
I'll be entering again.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was good to meet you all too.
Thank you. Have a very good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.